Hello, hello. Happy Tuesday. I hope that your Monday was well. I know people get the Monday blues or the Monday frustrations, the flustery days. Yeah, Mondays weren't always my favorite day, but I've learned to embrace every day, as it comes. We have no control, excuse me, we have no control over what happens in our lives. It's only how we react and respond. So today I wanted to talk about are you easily flustered? Is your response to fight, to flee, or freeze? So when something happens, are you quick to react? Do you stumble over your words and say things that you don't mean? What are your emotional triggers? And do you face your triggers head on, or do you attempt to find a way to avoid them? And yes, these triggers can be learned from childhood experiences, some even traumatic. For example, as a child, when you find yourself in a situation, or found yourself, I should say, in a situation where you had no control and it made you anxious, you became flustered, most likely you did not know how to deal with it, and most likely you adapted to the fight or flight method. But now as an adult, when something similar happens, that emotional trigger, and when you feel like you don't have control or are out of control, your immediate reaction is most likely, again, fight or flight. You may feel it's time to fight and your body releases adrenaline to help you cope. Your muscles tense up. You start to sweat, your heart beats faster, and then you react. You respond on impulse to save yourself. And when you react, how do you respond? That's the question. Well, maybe though your reaction is to flee, to not face it head on, retreat, and hope that it will all go away, out of sight, out of mind. But here's one more reaction that we often don't think about when we talk about fight or flight. And that's when we can't react or respond, but just freeze. This is when you hope that by doing nothing and saying nothing, that the danger won't spot you, that the situation that flustered you in the first place will all magically disappear if we just stay perfectly still and wait it out. Have you ever felt this way? Well, guess what? This is the most common response. That's right, freezing up. So here's an example of something that happened in my life when I was younger. So we moved a lot, and I mean a lot. Up till I was 11 years old. And then, as I said, one day at 11, we moved to a community where I finally wanted to dig in and make some lasting friendships. But here's the thing. To this day, I still don't know why. I didn't know why then, and I still don't know why today, why we moved so much up until that time. Anyways, one day I approached my mom. I grew up in a single-parent home, and told her that I didn't want to move anymore and that I wanted to make friends, some lasting friendships, people that I could keep in my life. You see, every time we moved, I had to say goodbye to people. And it was very traumatic for me. I haven't seen them since. I guess my mom understood what I was saying because we ended up staying in that community until we, meaning my two younger brothers and I, grew up and we moved away on our own. I guess I picked the fight response in that situation. Although I wasn't really fighting, I was asking for what I wanted, but still. I could have allowed the same patterns to go on and not say anything at all. And maybe we could have moved several more times and resentment could have creeped in and, well, who's to know? So out of this learned behavior as a child, I found myself becoming more of a stay and fight and face my fears head on. But that's not always the right way either. That was my response mechanism. I rarely found myself fleeing or freezing up. So here's some emotional triggers: rejection, abandonment, helplessness. So you don't have no control over situations. In my case, moving all the time, I had no choice. Being ignored, being blamed or criticized, being judged being blamed or shamed, or being judged or criticized. So how do you deal? Well, first thing is become self-aware. And you say, well, how? You start paying attention to how you react and then how you respond to situations, and then reflect back on why you think you responded that way. What possibly happened to you when you were younger that may play a part in how you respond to situations? Do you tend to fight, flee, or freeze up? It goes hand in hand with past experiences. So here's the deal. I'm not telling you to dwell on the past, because that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm saying though is that our past can play a part in our present, but we can change that so that it doesn't play a part in our future. There are tools out there to help you cope, to help you learn to cope with your reactions and your responses. And then you say, well, okay, Leslie, what are they? Well, here you go. It's simple. Practice breathing, deep breathing. There's an easy breathing technique called 4-7-8. When you feel like you are flustered, breathe in for 4 seconds, hold your breath for 7 seconds, and then breathe out for 8 seconds. Do this a few times. It actually makes you start to calm down, and it feels good. Will you say, well, what if I'm in a social situation and something happens? Well, then excuse yourself. Go find a place where you can do this by yourself. I mean, really, don't you want to feel better? Do you not want to get away from that situation, maybe have a different reaction and response? And by the way, you're not fleeing. You're just allowing yourself a moment to calm down. So you practice this technique, and when you are breathing in, say, in your mind, I am in the present moment. And when you breathe out, say, I feel calm. You can gain control of how you react and respond just by this simple breathing technique. By stepping away, it gives you time to reflect on what just happened. And then you can decide if it's even worth responding to bring it up again and having to go through that whole thing. Sometimes the other person doesn't even realize how they make you feel and how you will react to it, because it's an emotional trigger on something that happened to you and they don't understand. I'll go one step further. Later on, when you were alone, write down what happened. What made you angry or flustered? Speak your mind to that person or that situation and say how you felt in the moment. And then throw away that piece of paper and then let it go. Yes, let it go. Holding on won't serve you. It won't allow you to be your best self. For me, you're going to laugh, but I often have just myself in a room, have arguments with my husband because we don't always see eye to eye on things. So I actually play the part as if I'm actually having an argument with him. I tell him how I'm feeling, why I'm feeling that way, and what I want from him, what I need from him. And so I say all the things out loud to myself, how it makes me feel, and I'm angry, and I just want to let it go, but I just can't. So it's better for me to do it alone, so that when I do have that conversation with him at a later point in time to discuss how I was feeling, I can be in a more calm state and I can articulate it better than I could have if I had done it in the moment. So the point is, yes, we can all be easily flustered. Life just happens, and it happens quickly. And so when you become more self-aware of what your emotional triggers are, how you've maybe reacted in the past and responded to that situation, whether it's you fight it head on, you face it and fight it head on, whether you flee to run away from it so that you don't have to deal, or you freeze up hoping that it just goes away magically. In that moment, you just ignore it and hope that you don't have to deal with it. I hope that this helped. If anyone out there really needs to hear this, I hope that you share this with someone or someone's friends of yours, family members, anyone that you know that could benefit from hearing this message today. Please share it. And if anyone needs to talk further, maybe wants to go a little deeper into why they're feeling flustered and maybe you want to talk, please message me, because I'm here to help. I'm here to serve you, because I am a coach. I'm an empowerment coach. And what I love to do is help men and women declutter their headspace so that they can finally take control of their lives and live their best life right now. I'm Leslie Cadet. I'll see you later. Have a great day. Bye.